everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another special guest with me. He probably won't stay for the whole entire video, but this is my son, Princeton, and he is 1 year old, exactly 17 months. So he's having a biscuit right now. That's the only way to keep him like calm or whatever. So before I get started, I'm doing a story time today, and it's basically going to be about my little one. I'm going to be telling you guys how I knew I was going into labor, how it went being in labor, how did it go delivering him, and how was everything overall postpartum before I left the hospital. Before we get started, reason why I'm standing here is because usually when I record my videos I use a light, and the light can be too bright for my son, so I'm using sunlight as of right now. Yeah, so I love you. We're gonna get comfortable, grab some popcorn, something to drink, grab you a blunt, whatever you gotta do. Just get ready for this story time because it's gonna be dope. Papa, say see you later. Say see you later. You're gonna see all my baby pictures. I still a baby, but you're gonna see when I was really young, and you're gonna see when I came out my mommy's tummy, right? And you're gonna see me. Yes. We're gonna see you in the video, and it's all about you. Mama kissy? Mwah. Cookie? Right? Mama kissy? Mwah. So, we're gonna start on Thanksgiving, November 22nd, 2018. I decided to go visit my parents because, one, I'm about to give birth, and my due date is on the 24th in 2 days. And also my dad's birthday is literally the day after my son is supposed to be born. But anyway, back then I remember my mom was cooking. We were having a small Thanksgiving. She was cooking like the regular you eat on Thanksgiving: ribs, baked chicken, baked mac, collard greens, lasagna, yellow rice. Like, she had it all. Like, my mom was chefing it up and she was doing it real good. And I remember I was going through a lot of Braxton Hicks, so I thought, on this day. And I was just like, nah, I feel like I'm going to go into labor early. And I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, these dreads I got in my hair, I'm going to leave a picture of those dreads, was busted. I had those dreads from September all the way to November because I wanted me to go into labor and not have to worry about my hair. But obviously it got dingy and I had to take it out. I decided to go in my room and start taking out my, actually no, I think me and my mom, we started watching TV and I was just taking out my dreads. I was taking them out. That whole night I braided my hair, did what I had to do. So I threw the wig on and I still styled it. So at the time, this girl that I used to be very, very close friends with, like practically best friends, her daughter is basically 2 months older than my son. And throughout my whole pregnancy, she was there and stuff like that. Like, we was real close, real cool. My old friend, since we're not friends anymore, I don't know if she feels comfortable having her name put out there, so I'm gonna just call her girl. She was at her boyfriend's house, her in-laws' house, and enjoying Thanksgiving, and we're on FaceTime. The whole time while we're talking, I just couldn't sit still. Like, I was just kept rocking and moving back and forth. Then I started like huffing and puffing. So she's like, what are you panting about? Like, are you okay? And I'm like, I feel like I'm having contractions right now, but I don't know because every time I think I'm having contractions and I go to the hospital, it's Braxton Hicks. So I don't know. And then she's like, girl, sis, you're going into labor. Like, your due date is literally tomorrow, because now we're on the 23rd of November. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Now my parents are asleep. But she's like, you can go to the hospital because your due date is so close. And I'm like, girl, no, I'm not going to waste my time, go to the hospital. I'm not going to wake up my parents. I'm not going to, like, I was so worried about everything else but getting to that hospital. I didn't want to feel discouraged. I didn't want the nurse to be like, girl, you could go back home. Like, I didn't want to hear none of that. I just wanted to know, am I going to have my baby today or tomorrow? Period. She was just like, oh, promise me that next time you have a contraction, you're gonna call the ambulance. So I was like, okay, I promise, best friend. Like, if it happens again, I'll call the ambulance. It happened again and I didn't call the ambulance. So I'm like, I'll just document my contractions and time them and see how far apart they are and when they start and when they end. I literally tracked my contractions for a whole hour straight. I was on the phone with my friend for an hour straight, and the whole time she's trying to convince me to go to the hospital, and I was just like, no. Like, not yet. The time finally came when I was like, okay, now I gotta go, because I can't even open my mouth to say a word without feeling a contraction. Like, it feels like the contraction's gonna come all the way, shoot up to my head. Like, I just want to stay still in one spot and let that contraction be in one spot. Okay, I'm going into labor. I feel like I am. Who knows? Like, I was just chilling. And then the day before, I was on an elliptical because my mom, you know, she had that workout machine, and I was doing that. I was doing squats. I was doing everything I needed to do so my son can come out. But when the time came, I was just like, no, this ain't happening. Like, not right now. I grabbed my dad's work shirt, which was like my pajama shirt. I put on some dingy sweats that I used to paint the apartment with my mom when I was like 14. So girl was like, come on, let's go. Call the ambulance. Did you call it yet? I didn't have a phone at the time. I'm like, how can I contact Mark? Like, how can I contact him? She's like, I'll call him. I'm like, here, take his number, call him, tell him, hurry his ass up to the hospital because he lives closer to Coney Island Hospital. I hang up the phone so she can call him, and I'm just so nervous. I'm walking out of my room all slow and scared, and I'm like, God, please let this be the moment, because if I waste my damn time and go to this hospital. So my parents are sleeping, knocked out. And the reason why I was calling my mom is because my dad snores so loud, and my mom is like a kind of like a light sleeper. But that day, she was not hearing nothing, like nothing. So I'm like, mom. And the person that wakes up is my dad, and he's like, what happened? What's going on, man? You alright? I'm like, Dad, no, I'm having contractions. I think it's time. I think I gotta go to the hospital. My dad jumped out the bed, like, jumped right out the bed, grabbed his phone, and we went into the living room and we called the ambulance together. Now, when I tell you, I was on the phone with the ambulance for like 10 minutes. They was asking me the most illiterate questions ever, like questions they ask you when you go to your OB appointment. And I say it's illiterate because, you know, you can type in my MRN number into the system, because I'm going to Coney Island Hospital, and this is EMT for Coney Island. So you can put in my information and obviously see my gestational age. You can see when was my last appointment. You can see all of that. So why are you asking me how far along I am and when was my conception date and stuff like that? Like, come on, like, just hurry up, pick me up, and take me to the hospital. I get off the phone. I see the sirens. I didn't even hear it. They didn't put it on. So my mom walks out the room and she comes to the dining room and she's like, what's going on? Why the ambulance here? It's time? I'm like, yeah, like, I think so. She's like, oh man, why didn't you wake me up? I'm like, Ma, I was calling you because I know when my dad is asleep and he's snoring, he's not gonna hear nothing. So I was calling her, and she woke up at the last minute when I was like about to walk out the door. So I meet the EMT workers. They're coming in my building with a stretcher, dragging it, like a stretcher, really. I come downstairs and I'm like, I'm okay, I can walk to the ambulance. And then I remember this one EMT lady. She had dreads, glasses, dark skin, you know, the EMT cap or whatever. She looked kind of older, like in her 40s. And she looks at me, we get inside, she looks at me and she's like, how old are you? And I'm like, December 1st. So I'm like, you know, I'm giving her my date of birth, and she's like, no way. Like, there's no way you're 19 right now. I'm like, yeah, I'm 19. I'm going to be 20 next week. And she's like, oh, it looked like you were 15, and over the phone you sound like you were 13. Like, miss, like, we're not here to sit here and judge on how I look and, you know, try to take a rocket science guess on my age. Like, that's not what we're here for. I'm having contractions right now, and I'm scared that my water's gonna break, or like this is not even a real deal. Like, I don't even know what's going on. My anxiety is out the freaking ambulance right now. So you're sitting here trying to figure out my age, like, and the rest of the time I just did not talk to that EMT lady, and I paid my mind towards the other EMT lady. If you want to ask me the questions, I'm answering you, because she pissed me off all the way. So we pull up to Coney Island Hospital and I'm about to walk out. A nice lady was like, no, sweetie, don't walk out the ambulance because even though your due date's tomorrow, we don't want them to see you walking in the hospital because then they're not gonna, you know, have you as like first priority. They're gonna think, okay, she's probably having like a false labor and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I know you're tired. So I was like, okay, sure. So like, are we gonna go on the stretcher? So they go and bring a wheelchair. So they pick me up out the ambulance, pick me up, put me in the wheelchair, and they bring me inside. So now I'm inside. They transfer me to a bed. Literally pick me up. So dramatic. Like lift, move her over, drop. Let me just get in the bed. I wait like 20 minutes. I get upstairs. Now I'm in the maternity area. I didn't know that the area you go where they check to see the baby's heartbeat is the same area where you give birth. So I'm like, oh, they're about to put me on this monitor crap and track my contractions and all this dumb extra like I was not having it. I was so annoyed. So I see the same nurses and doctors I've been seeing every other 3 weeks or whatever because I'm always coming in for Braxton Hicks. So they're looking at me like, here we go again. They check my due date. They check me, my cervix to see, you know, how opened I am. So I sit there for about 10 minutes and the nurse comes to me and she's like, okay, so you can change into this and we're gonna be transferring you to this room. And I'm like, I'm not going home, I'm staying. And she's like, yeah, you're 4 centimeters dilated. And I'm like, oh my God, like, well, my due date's tomorrow. And she's like, exactly, so you're gonna be admitted to the hospital. Great. I was worried that I was gonna waste my time, waste my sleep, and go to this hospital and be sent back. So she transferred me to another room and she gives me my hospital gown, my hospital socks, my urine cup, and I'm smiling right now because it's just like such a nostalgic moment just thinking about it. So I go in and I see the little bassinet cube that they have for the babies. In a few hours, this baby that's in my belly is gonna be in there. Like I'm gonna see what I created and the person that I'm so in love with. We're gonna see like what we created, what we made, what God gave us. So I go and I get dressed and I go in the bathroom and first person I call is girl. I'm like, girl. No, matter of fact, I had my phone, but my phone wasn't on. My phone was not on. I'm not gonna lie, I ain't pay my bill because I was more worried about I'm about to have this baby than have this phone bill paid. Like, seriously. And yeah, whatever. But so I called girl and she's like, I spoke to Mark, he's on his way. Are you staying in the hospital? Are they sending you home? Like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm staying, like I'm 4 centimeters dilated and I'm staying and I'm having this baby and it's happening and it's... And then she's screaming on the phone. She's like, oh my God, you want me to come to the hospital now? Girl was all the way in Harlem, metropolitan Harlem. And then I was all the way at the end of Brooklyn type-ish. So I'm like, no, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. No, just I'll call you when, you know, like tomorrow you can come, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't gonna be selfish and be like, yeah, come to the hospital and keep me company. So I'm there and then next thing you know, I'm waiting for Mark to come. They had asked me, do you want epidural? And I'm like, yeah, I want epidural. Like, when can I get it? They're like, oh, we suggest that you get it now. So I'm like, now? And they're like, yeah, you're 4 centimeters and you know we want to give it to you earlier enough that when the epidural kicks in, you know, you won't feel the contractions because it's gonna take time for it to kick in. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do this. And I was so nervous and scared. So I'm like, damn, can I at least wait till, you know, the father gets here so I can have somebody's hand to hold. But I'm like, I can't be like, oh, I gotta wait for my friend to come. Oh, I gotta wait for his dad to be here for me to, you know, handle the situation on my own. No, like nobody else is gonna push this baby out but me. So I'm like, you know what, let's just get it on, do the epidural right now. Like, I got tattoos, I'll be all right. So the anesthesiologist comes in and he's like, oh, bend over. So he explains to me he explains to me how the whole procedure goes. So he's like, all right, so what you're gonna have to do is bend over and make sure that your belly is basically almost touching your knees. So I was like suffocating. I felt like I was suffocating my baby as far down as I had to lean to get that needle in my spine. So I'm leaning down, trying to catch my breath, and I'm trying not to move because I always heard like with epidural, if you move, you can become paralyzed or whatever. Listen, I moved. I jumped. And I didn't like jump like, hey, like, but I like, you know, got startled a little bit. I'm telling you, after that little startle I had, he was like, okay, we're done. The part where I had to hold the other nurse's hand and like, you know, just the whole entire time, I didn't feel nothing but a stream of cold water shoot up my spine. That's all I felt. Like I felt the epidural shoot up my spine wherever it went. I don't know, but I felt it and it was cold and it startled me because I was expecting pain, not pressure, not coldness. I was expecting pain. So I asked for ice chips. I'm like, can I get ice chips? And they're like, yeah, we got you. I'm sitting in the bed. I'm waiting on the father of my child. And he comes in with his mom. So I'm like, I'm shocked. Like my parents is not even here yet. Like what's going on? Like, can I have some privacy? I'm not gonna lie, I was happy she was there, but I was kind of like really like right now, like I'm not pushing, like I'm like I literally just got here, like there's no reason why we're having family here right now. But anyway, so we're there and I'm eating my ice chips and another doctor comes in. So now this doctor, an Asian doctor, she comes, she talks to me. She's like, so I'm going to check your cervix and I'm going to try to break your water. So I'm like, break my water? And she's like, yeah. So she's like, open your legs for me or whatever. So I'm like, I can't open my legs. I can't move. Now the epidural has kicked in. I cannot move for nothing. Basically, Mark comes and another nurse moves my legs. They open my legs for me, okay? So she's like checking my cervix and I kid you not, it feels like the lady was about to stick her whole entire arm inside of me. Like that was the most uncomfortable feeling in the world. Now my water breaks and it hits her. Like, kid you not, it almost hit her in the face. I'm not lying. I am not lying. Like, it hit the bed everywhere. So after my water broke, now I'm in pain. Now I'm like, oh nah, what the fuck, like, what is going on? Now the epidural is not helping as much. Now I'm like rocking back and forth. So I'm like, I look at the time, it's like 6 in the morning. I call my mom, I call my dad, and I'm like, don't go to work. Don't go to work. Because that was the plan, for me to go to the hospital and let them know, like, go to work or not. But my dad has no choice to go to work. But he is mandatory for him to go. They were like, you are 8 centimeters dilated and you will be giving birth in the next hour. You'll start pushing. So it's 6 o'clock. And you're telling me I'm going to start pushing at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock? Like, what? Okay, so I'm like, Ma, you have to come ASAP. You don't even have time to go to work. Like, you got to be here. She's like, okay, I'm on my way. So she came or whatever. By the time my mom got there, like, she was rushing, like, kept calling, like, are you pushing out? Are you pushing out? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. Like, so after a while, come to find out, the doctors, they gassed it, basically. And my mom got there at 8 o'clock, and I wasn't pushing. So the contractions got so severe, so bad, that they had to give me an oxygen mask, okay? I was so hungry, okay? The last time I ate was Thanksgiving, probably like 10 o'clock at night. And a few hours later, I went into labor, and I haven't ate since 10 o'clock yesterday. So I'm starving, I'm pregnant, and I'm upset, and I'm in pain. So I'm eating these ice chips and they're like, I asked for another one. They're like, no, you can't have any more ice chips because, you know, you're eating too much and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, you know, this man. Like, I was excited and I'm like, you know, I just want my son to hurry up and come. Now, like, with the contractions, I'm like, can I get more epidural? I never knew that with epidural, there's levels to it and there's doses you can have. I just thought that they put it in your back and the whole entire time you're in labor, that's just that. But no, they give you doses of it. So the doctor had told me, since your blood pressure is so low and, you know, my iron levels was low too because I'm anemic, and when I'm pregnant, it's even worse. So he's like, I can't because you're anemia. So I was feeling it. Like, I started feeling a pain. And I'm like, yo, like, no, this is not it. Now I'm starting to feel like, okay, like, I gotta do-do. Princeton is gonna come after I use the bathroom. Maybe that's what's holding him back right now, because I gotta dump this load right here. They're like, oh no, that sounds good. That's the feeling you're supposed to be getting. Like, everybody's getting all excited, like, ooh, yeah, like, boo, like, what? No. The doctor comes in. Now she has, like, 8 nurses with her. She's checking my cervix and she's like, we want to wait until you're 10 centimeters to let you push. I'm like, okay, but I have to push now. People that are pregnant right now and they're about to give birth, I'm about to let y'all know the tea. Before it's time to push, you get the feeling like you gotta drop a dunk, like you gotta go take a poop, but not like a regular poop. It's like an explosion poop, like you ate some quesadillas or some shit, like you ate some heavy, nasty, greasy, unhealthy something, and your stomach been rumbling, and now like you can feel everything is sitting right above, you know, the exit, and sometimes you can't hold the door closed. And I was like to the point where I'm like leaning up the bed. Ooh, I can't even have pressure down on my butt right now. I can't even sit. Okay, so the doctor's like, she's 10 centimeters dilated. We can go. You can start pushing. Now they come. The one nurse grabs this leg, put it up here. Next nurse grabs this leg, put it up there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't hold my legs either because the epidural, I still couldn't feel nothing. So all I could feel is this pressure in my booty hole. I'm, you know, like looking at my mom. I'm looking all nervous. I'm starting to sweat bullets. I'm getting scared. Like my anxiety, the pain, everything. Like I'm scared. So I look at the time. It's like, kid you not, 12 o'clock. They're like, all right, push. So I'm pushing. The doctor kept getting me upset. She was like, no, you're pushing wrong. You're pushing with your face. I don't want to see you push like this. I don't want to see you pushing with your body. I want you to push from your butthole. I want you to push like you got to go to the bathroom like you say you have to. So now I'm pushing. I stopped pushing because I feel like I got to throw up. Kid you not, guys. One thing about me is that I hate throwing up. I'm scared of vomit. I don't like seeing it. I don't like smelling it. I don't like hearing it happen. So my mom told me while I was in labor, before I started pushing, part I forgot to leave out, like little details. If I need to add it in, I'll tell y'all. But she was like, you're gonna throw up. And I'm like, throw up? No, Mom, I'm not gonna throw up. I'll probably just doodle on myself. She's like, no, you're gonna throw up because the pain is so bad. It's like that bad that your body can't take it, that, you know, it ejects, it throws up. So I'm like, okay, Ma, okay. Now that I'm pushing, I look at my mom, I look at the nurse, and I'm like, I gotta throw up. So now I'm gagging. They're looking for the bucket. Like the whole time I was in labor, they had this bucket on my bed near my pillow. And I'm like, get this bucket away from me. Like, I don't need this bucket. Now that I need the bucket, nobody know where the bucket's at. So they finally come with it. And as soon as they touched down to me, like I threw up, it came out. Now I'm pushing and they're wiping me. Every time I push, they're wiping. I'm like, okay, like I must be pooping. Like I must be on myself. Like, Doctor's like, all right, now you're doing a good job. I see his head, I see it. Then I push again, and then Princeton shoots right back up. Like he goes back in, and she's like, hold on, don't push. I'm like, why? Like I have to push, I have to push, I have to push. Every time I'll go, oh, it's like, oh my God, like here it is, here we go. Gotta push, gotta push. She was like, hold on. So she puts her hand inside of me, her hand. And she's like, oh, he's facing the wrong way. She decides to try to turn him over. My son, being as stubborn as he is, was not turning. He wasn't turning. So she's like, okay, try to push one more time. I tried to push. She's like, all right, stop. Each time, stop. Then she told me his heart rate is dropping. Now I'm getting scared shitless. So she's like, if you push one more time and I see that his heart rate goes down again, you're going to have to do an emergency C-section because it can be a possibility that he won't make it if you keep pushing. First, I thought it was me that I was pushing bad. Then I thought it was my anxiety. Then I thought my son must have a big head because one, my dad got a big head, my man got a big head, and I got a big head. So now my mom's looking at me and I'm like, Mom, I can't do this. She's like, Keisha, you're fine. You can do it. You can do it. That lady always like pulls me through every situation. Like she is my encouragement. Without her words, like I don't know where I would be. Like and her just being there for me. I signed a waiver saying that the hospital is not responsible in case I die because, you know, when you have a C-section, they have to move your organs around, move your organs over here, over there, some room so they can get the baby out. Then they put your organs back to where they need to be, and then they sew you up in the inside, stitch you up in the inside, and stitch you up in the outside. Like we have so many layers of our skin. So basically they were telling me the complications, and she's like, you need one person to come with you. So my mom was like, I'm definitely not coming. Like, I can't see you in that situation. I can't see you be put to sleep. I can't see you be cut open or whatever. Like, you know, my mom just being my mom. So then I'm like, all right, Mike, you come. They give him the shower cap, they give him the mask, they give him everything. So I remember leaving out of there and feeling like I was gonna die. Going down the hall to the operating room was literally at the end of a hall. It felt like the longest ride in the hospital bed. The pain got even worse once I stopped pushing, and I have to hold this contraction in, and my body is trying to contract to get the baby out, and I'm not letting my body do what it has to do. That hurts. There's no epidural in this world that can take that away. Nothing. Like, that feels like torture. Like, come on. So we get to the operating room. They give me some more epidural, and then they give me some other medication, and then they give me this brown liquid that I have to drink before the C-section. They're like, if you throw this up, we're gonna have to give you another dose of it. They gave it to me. I started gagging. Not all of it come out, so they're like, fine, you don't have to get another dose. I'm like, yes, I'm done throwing up. I'm done on myself. Now I can go to sleep, be put to sleep, and not feel nothing. So that's a lie. They don't put you to sleep when you have a C-section. I don't think, if you don't have any complications, they're not going to put you to sleep. They didn't put me to sleep, and I was up. But let me tell you, I was up, but I was high as Say I'm laying down, right? I'm laying down. I remember Mark had being like right here, and he's like, babe, just talking to me in my ear, and I'm like talking to him, and then I see like nurses walking around, it's mad blurry or whatever. Then I start feeling this, like, this is exactly, like, you see how I'm like rubbing my arm like nice and gently? That's what I felt on my stomach. Not on my stomach, near my uterus. That's what I felt. That was them cutting me with the scalpel. All right, they was getting to it. They was cutting each layer of skin, and I was feeling it, but I didn't feel like I was getting cut. So I'm like, oh shit. Oh my God, like, when am I gonna go to sleep? Like, what, am I gonna be up for this whole process? Because now I know it's about to go down. They're like, we're gonna push down on your stomach. Push down on my stomach? Excuse me? I just sat here and pushed for 45 minutes thinking that my son is gonna come out my vajayjay. But no, now you're, oh my God. I thought the C-section was the easy way out, but it's just as bad as pushing. The same amount of pain, the same amount of pressure, except for the pressure's not in the butthole no more. The pressure's in the stomach. This is her hand, two of her hands like this, pushing down on my stomach. And when I say my stomach, I mean like up here, like right here. And that hurt it. Next thing you know, I'm falling out. I don't remember what I was saying. I don't remember what I was doing. All I remember was that I stayed up until Princeton was born. Soon as I heard him cry, I closed my eyes. I remember I just passed out. Then I wake up, and I guess I woke up when they were done putting me back together. But I jump up and I'm like, where's my baby? Where's my son? So they open the curtain, you know, the curtain they have in front of you so you don't see the operation. I see this little white baby all the way in the corner in the little bassinet cubicle thingy bajingy, and I'm just like, ah! I'm like, that's my baby right there. God bless all the nurses. God bless all the doctors. God bless every single one of y'all. Thank you so much. They was looking at me like this is chatting. And then one nurse was like, oh my God, your son has eyes like his dad. His eyes are so gray. They're so light. And I'm like, no way, no way. Give me my baby. Give me. They give him to me, lay him on my chest. First thing I seen was his eyes. As you guys can obviously see, my son has some big, beautiful, gorgeous, handsome eyes. When I seen him, his eyes were chinky but big. He was like 3 minutes born, and he was so alert. He was looking at everyone. If you're speaking, he's gonna look at you. Like, the newborn baby knows where the voices is coming from and whose voice sounds like what. Like, he was that alert. But anyway, they took him, they cleaned him, they did what they had to do. They gave him his first shot. He did not cry for his first shot at all. Gave him another shot. He didn't cry for that either. My son was not a crier at all. So now everybody had came to visit. It was so nice. It was like a special moment, and like everybody was just so happy. So they moved me to the postpartum area now. You know, Mark is tired, he has to work, and I'm tired too. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let him sleep. Let me explore motherhood, see how this goes for me. You know, I breastfed Princeton, and then I put him back in his QB bassinet. He wakes up and he's crying, and I'm like, okay, time for a change. So instead of waking up Mark to change him or calling the nurse or pressing the button that I need assistance, I decide to get up, and I had a catheter inside of me for me to use the bathroom. So I get up, I pick up Princeton, and literally a gallon of blood came out of me. And it was so loud that as soon as the blood hit the floor, that's when Mark jumped up and he noticed, like, what the was that? That's how much blood it was. So he's seen and he's like, what are you doing? He grabs Princeton, he puts him down. He's like, and I'm just like in shock. I'm just looking like, what just happened? Like, what just happened? The nurses run in the room because they hear Mark yelling, and I'm like, all I tried to do was pick up my baby so I can change him. You know, I just finished feeding him and you were sleeping and I just want to try it on my own. They're like, no, you need assistance. You can't do things on your own right now. You can't lift him up. And the next day, my mom came back. She brought me some Dunkin' Donuts. She brought me some food. My mother-in-law came back too. And also my brother-in-law came, Mark's cousin Jacob came, like everybody was coming to show love to see the baby. Then my aunt came, my cousin came, and her boyfriend came too. Everybody was just coming to show love. My family left, and then this was the day where I was walking around in the hospital because the next day I was leaving to go home. So I was walking around in the hospital and I was on Facebook Live. I was looking a little crusty. And my lips was looking hella black because them iron pills, I looked dry. Now the next day, I was supposed to be discharged from the hospital at like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So I end up leaving the hospital at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I just wish I can do it all over again, and I love telling this story. I told this story on my Facebook account, but then I had deleted it. But with YouTube, I could really tell y'all the tea. So that was my story time of labor and delivery, how it was giving birth, and the ins and outs and the TMIs of it all. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and share with your friends and family. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you do so. And if you guys need to hit me up for any reason, if you have a video request, if you have a question, something you want to talk about, you know where to hit me up at. And if you don't, I will leave it right here, and I will see y'all next week. Bye.